It's my honor and pleasure to introduce Professor Moreno Ocampo. Dr. Luis Moreno Ocampo was the founder chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court from 2003 to 2012, establishing the institutional basis of the Office of the Prosecutor and taking final decisions in each case. He interacted with states from all over the world, NGOs, and briefed about 17 times the United Nations Security Council. As a prosecutor in Argentina, from 1985 to 1992, he had a key role in one of the first transitional justice models developed in the world. He was the deputy prosecutor in charge of investigation during the Junta trial in 1985, working very closely with CONADEP, one of the first through commissions. He was also similarly involved in the cases against juntas, subordinate commanders, and officers. He led the prosecution of 2 military rebellion cases in 1988 and 1990, and a military malpractice case against the top army commanders in the Malvinas-Falkland War in 1988. He was deputy director of the Law School Research Center and associate professor at Buenos Aires University, visiting professor at Stanford University, Harvard University, distinguished visiting fellow at New York University Law School, and is currently senior fellow at Jackson Institute for Global Affairs at Yale University. Please join me in welcoming Professor Ocampo to the podium.
I'm very glad with the classic idea of Rabbi, saying justice should pursue. And that's what we are doing here. And probably what I'd like to do with you is helping you to understand the 3 different cases connected with that. One case is the AMIA case. One case is the death of Mr. Nisman, Prosecutor Nisman, and the last case is the case against the president of the country for the alleged cover-up of the suspects. These are the 3 cases connected that I'd like to comment to you. For me, these cases show different aspects. One, in particular, AMIA in the Israel bombing, the Jewish community is a target. We are living in a world where pogroms are done differently. No? And I think we should understand that. And we should understand how to face that problem. And I think that problem should confirm you the idea rabbis say, justice should be pursued. Because that is the only way to protect yourself. Who of you know the Skokie case? Can you raise a hand? Who of you know the Skokie case? Okay, just one. Okay. Skokie case was in 1977, a case where a group of Nazis, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry for my pronunciation of Skokie. So to feel you better, who of you know the Skokie case? Great. Very good, thank you. Thank you for the understanding. As you remember, there was a group of Nazis trying to demonstrate in Skokie. And the court decided that they could not do it. And then American Civil Liberty Union took the case and demanded that the Supreme Court review the decision. And this created a huge conflict with American Civil Liberty Union because the executive director of American Civil Liberty Union was Ari Nayer, a Jewish himself, who escaped from Nazis. And then he had each day demonstrators claiming that he was a traitor. And Ari said something that for me we should remember. He said, many people ask me how, if I'm a Jew, could work to protect the Nazi rights if they are the enemies? And he say, and it's the opposite. Because I am a Jew, I learned that the only way to be protected is if the law prevail, if justice prevail. So because I'm a Jew, I had to protect the rights of everyone, including my enemies. That's why I am defending the right of the Nazi to make a demonstration. Even the Nazis are Nazis. So that is for me the concept we have in mind. How to do the only way to protect, the only way to have real security in the world is to protect the right of every person in the world, including the enemies. And that is the concept I think we should discuss today, because that is a solution for the army in particular. Because army case, as the other cases that Monica presented, are showing criminality is no more just local criminality. We have a global terrorism targeting in particular Jewish community. And that is a problem because we have no system of justice to deal with that problem. So we have to keep requesting justice for AMIA, but we have to understand AMIA is also an opportunity to build a system of justice that is not existing. Let me present the idea better. Think in Ferguson. Ferguson created a huge controversy in this country. Because basically people believe this police officer was racist against a black guy. And then people complain about the prosecutor of the case. It's right, people can debate that. But the issue for me is you have a police system in Ferguson and you have a prosecutor system in Ferguson to deal with the problem. We have nothing similar to deal with global terrorist attacks. We have no global justice system for that. And that is, for me, something we have to understand and try to learn, okay, how can we be protected on that? The best thing we have, and I will show later a little, is the International Criminal Court. I was the chief prosecutor involved in big massacres, in genocide in Darfur, in the Gaddafi crimes. In fact, I could not be involved in AMIA because AMIA is before 2002. But if it would be a new AMIA in some part of the world, I think could deal. And that's why I like to finish with that point. Not to give details, but just to explain AMIA case is showing now that we need to do something bigger. Because AMIA case show that Argentina had not yet solved its problems with the military intelligence and police system. That's what the AMIA case show. Because basically, the AMIA case show that the government was trying to have prosecutors and judges who they can control, clear in the meantime, and then they were focused on the wrong targets. That's what the scandal. Judge Galeano was bribing a person who was just be involved in robber cars and provide a car to the bombing, and he bribed this person to identify members of the police of Buenos Aires. And basically it was an investigation conducted by the police, this investigation, federal police. So people say this was a vendetta between the two police. The police were involved in some robbery cars business, and so they were just fighting themselves, nothing to do with the AMIA. Because yes, there was a car used in the attack, and then instead of investigate the crime itself, the bombing, they went to investigate the robbers, and then this led Galeano to offer money to identify members of the Buenos Aires police. And then they have this officer of Buenos Aires police who are probably involved in robbing cars, probably, but nothing to do with the AMIA case. And that's why the case was dismissed. And as you say before, we lost years of time of investigation. That's one of the problems, Argentina's difficulties. The other problem is intelligence system is not based on evidence. Of course, to investigate the AMIA, you need to understand the conflict with Iran, Hezbollah, and Israel. It's obvious that. And that's complicated, because then intelligent people have a different mandate, and they don't collect evidence. They just base information on informants, and they always refuse to provide information to the judges. That's why clarifying this international connection will be so complicated. I'm not sure if I'm clear. Just let me give an example of how intelligence works. The Mexican president, Cedillo, told me the story. He said when he was a president, one day DEA went to see him and told him, look, President, this candidate from your party to be a governor in this state is a drug dealer. Is the head of the drug dealer organization. And you're going to let him to be the governor here. And they show him documents with transactions and conversations. So President Cedillo decided to do something. So he managed to replace him as a candidate and was a different candidate to be the governor. But this drug dealer became a candidate from outside the PRI. He created his own party and competed and won. So President Cedillo called the Attorney General of Mexico, asking him, look, go to CDA, ask them the evidence, and put this guy in jail before he became the governor, because after it would be disaster. DEA refused to provide intelligence. They never do that. Because in a proceeding, the name should be disclosed, and how you got information should be disclosed. And DEA, no intelligence group is ready to do that. It's not just with foreign countries. I have a friend here in Boston. He's a federal prosecutor from Boston. He investigated an Ukrainian mafia who had a truck with electronic equipment and steal Wi-Fi from the banks. So they put the truck on the side of the bank and they steal the Wi-Fi. So this Ukrainian mafia had information about 100,000 American citizens' number cards. And he explained to me how difficult was the investigation because the server used by this Ukrainian mafia were in Latvia and Ukraine. And it was very difficult to get the information from there. And that's one of the problems with international investigations. And at the end, he got the information. Latvia and Ukraine provided information he was requesting. And he said, the only thing I never could get is information from FBI. FBI refused to provide information to me on the basis of national security. There are 100,000 American citizens affected, but there were national security problems to provide information. So these two examples, unrelated with the AMIA case, show how complicated is the relation between intelligence and judicial investigations. That explains how difficult it was to investigate the international aspect of the AMIA case. And I will go back to that. So in the meantime, we have this problem, a judge appointed for political reasons, doing manipulations, bribing a witness, identifying members of the police who had no connection with the AMIA attack, destroying part of the case. Then Kirchner took a different decision, and he appointed the head of the counterintelligence to support the investigation. But this man has also problems. The head of in those days, Minister of Justice in the Kirchner administration was Gustavo Vélez, who was a staunching oppositor to Menem on the handling of the AMIA case. So Vélez knew how badly was working the investigation system, so he started to replace judges appointed by Menem, but also he was trying to create an FBI in Argentina, because Argentina has a CIA working inside Argentina, not FBI. That's the system, sorry. The Secretary of Intelligence of Argentina is like a CIA working inside the country. And we need an FBI providing evidence to conduct investigations. And that was Mr. Bellis proposing. And he sent a project to the Congress. Because of that, he had to resign. The intelligent people in Argentina is very strong, and forced him to resign. And then Mr. Bellis went to the TV and showed a picture of someone who never heard about him. The picture of the head of counterintelligence, Mr. Stiuso, who had no idea who was him. But Bellis said, this man is the man who is running intelligence in Argentina. And this man is running investigations like Gestapo. That's the word he used. And this man was the man running the investigation of the AMIA case since 2004 until 2014, for 10 years. And one of the problems we have with the AMIA case is this was a man running the investigation. Nisman trusts him. That's why we don't know how Nisman was, the reason, the causes of Nisman's death. We have to wait to make an opinion. But even if he commits suicide, the AMIA case was the cause of the case, of his death. That's why this ceremony to him is very important, because even if he commits suicide, it was a consequence of where was involved. He had to rely on this man, Stiuso, who was denounced 10 years before as the Gestapo, and President Kirchner decided to remove him, and then the case was presented, and then Nisman died. So there is a connection between the AMIA investigation, how the investigation system is working in Argentina, and the Nisman death. So this is about the AMIA. It's an investigation which is complicated now because 20 years later, how to get more information, how to collect evidence after 20 years. That's very complicated. But we can talk a little about that. Let me move to both cases, Mrs. Kirchner's case and Mr. Nisman case. That's very complicated because if you really believe the case of Nisman is so strong and against the President Kirchner, all the perception you believe she killed or someone close to her killed Nisman, the feeling is terrible. We don't know yet that. Because the Nisman case against the president was presented as an impeachment, and it's not an impeachment. It's not an indictment. It's just the beginning of an investigation. It's an hypothesis to prove. So Nisman believed that the agreement with Iran was a way to provide a cover-up to the suspect. And he has interceptions of members, people close to President Cristina Kirchner, show that they were promoting business and deals with Iran, different than President Kirchner, but similar to President de la Rúa. President de la Rúa was proposing things, business with Iran. And then he proposed that this agreement is part of the cover-up. The problem is to have a crime of cover-up, you should prove that you did something material to do that with the intention to cover the suspect. And that is not yet proved. I would suggest the reading of the memorandum of understanding is not providing the exit to the suspect. The government say that is, and it's true, nothing in the memorandum itself provides any cover-up. The government say we never review the red notice, and the government say what we are trying to do is to find a more creative way to allow Nisman and the judge to interview the suspect. And formally, there's nothing there, as you can say. That's true. So I think Mr. Policita is right, it had to be investigated. The case should be investigated, but until now, there is no evidence. We have to collect the evidence. That's why it's a mistake based on the idea that Prosecutor Nisman got an indictment. No, it's not a grand jury decision. It's not a judge decision. It's the first information. Nisman strongly believed in his case. He believed that he had a case, but had to be proved. So the case of the president is still not proved. And we'll see if there is evidence, because the meetings before the agreement are normal. You have meetings to see if you have an agreement. The problem is, in the meeting, the government include cover-up to the suspect. We don't know that. That should be proven. We need evidence on that. What I think about this is complicated. I say that. I say when the memorandum was discussed, I said publicly that, look, this is a risky movement because you are dealing with Iran, who is normally involved in these crimes. But at the same time, if you like to interview these people, the only country who can allow you to do it is Iran. That's a problem. When I was a prosecutor in the ICC, I had to investigate genocide in Darfur, and the only way for me to try to investigate what they were doing was talking to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Sudan, who I knew, I had information, he was even himself involved in the genocide. But I cannot select Sweden, which is a much clearer and nice country, but they have nothing to do. They cannot allow me to go to Sudan. That's the problem with you are doing. That's why, for me, this kind of cases show the problem we have to have investigation when the criminals and the evidence and the weapons are coming from different countries. We have no system for that. And the government of Argentina, President Cristina Kirchner, is saying we are trying to overcome the problem. Knowing the Iranian, of course, for them, what they like is to cancel the case. And in fact, as Monica said, they publicly say that. So it was a risky movement that went nowhere at the end. So the case against Cristina Kirchner is a case that, to be proven, you need to prove that the president really offered immunity to the accused, to the suspect. And that is not yet proven. Should be proven, could be proven, we'll see. It's an investigation now ongoing. The case of Mr. Nisman is the case that I think we should really, really push now, because it's very important to clarify how he died. There are some indicia suggesting it's a suicide, but we're not sure. We cannot affirm it's a suicide. The body was naked. There was not traces of fight, apparently. There is no indication of someone else there. The body was blocking the door, so it's a very difficult scene to build. It's a real homicide, but you try to present as a suicide, it's difficult to do it. Maybe it was, but it's difficult to do it. For me, one key element that is missing yet is the pistol did not. It's a small pistol, and people say these pistols are not giving trace in his hand, because Nisman has no trace of gunpowder in his hand. But the government, the prosecutor and the judge have the pistol, and they have bullets similar, like the bullet that killed Nisman. So we need a new test. Shoot this pistol again with one of these bullets and check if this pistol is giving traces or not. That's the critical evidence. I don't know why it's not yet done. There is no intoxication in Nisman, so we don't understand. So that is the evidence. But even if he commits suicide connected with the AMIA case, because the next day he has to go to the Congress. We don't know what happened with him. We don't know the pressure he had. And that should be done. We should know. What happened with Nisman, even if he commits suicide, he's a victim of the AMIA case, a new victim. And we need to understand that. Of course, if he was killed, it's 10 times worse. So these are the three cases. The AMIA case with the complexities, in particular in both, because the local connection is difficult now to identify after 21 years, and the international connections is difficult because it's intelligence, basically. The Nisman case is a case we can try to understand more. And the case of Mrs. Kirchner also could be investigated. So my last words are about what to do with the AMIA. I feel with other, Beltrizarlo and other people, and people from different groups, we're trying to build a group of Argentinians with different positions to to show we can be united on this had to unite us, we are promoting the idea to help AMIA case, at least understanding what is happening and see how we can go. That could be done. As I had experience in investigation all my life, I did that. I believe it will be difficult to identify the perpetrators, but I think we can have a report identifying the group who commit the crime. Which is the group, so comparing modus operandi, I think we can identify the group who commit the crimes. And that should be confirmed. We have an hypothesis, was Iranian people. I think that should be confirmed, even without identifying who are the person, and even without reaching a conviction. I think, I'm not sure is this enough? Probably not enough. Justice is never enough. But we have to keep pursuing that. And in any case, from my side, and probably your side, we should see how we can offer to provide a better understanding and like an official story of what happened in the AMIA. Because basically the victim needs some certainty. Victims need to understand, to rationalize what happened, and to have certainty. And I think that should be done. And I'd like to end showing justice is difficult. And in particular, justice against people in power are difficult. But there's a professor at Harvard talking about the justice cascade. Because in fact, the world, humanity is improving. Humanity is doing more. And we needed the Holocaust to have Nuremberg. But then you had Nuremberg. And Catherine Sitkin is showing Nuremberg and the junta trial in Argentina promote what she called a justice cascade, which is progressing around the world. And she got data on that. And I think we need to keep pushing that. Justice for everyone, including our enemies, as Arina say. So let me finish showing a couple of scenes about how justice is progressing around the world. First, I don't know if you know this man. Oh. We have some problems. Yeah? No worry. Okay. To show that when I was in Argentina, I was thinking it's great, like we are from Argentina from a Nazi system. Then it was not true. I learned pursuing justice is like an endless match. It's an endless box match. You can win one round, and you have not victory yet. You can lose the next round, but you're not defeated. It's a new round coming, and all our game is to keep fighting, pursuing justice. And I like to show that's what you do. And then it's a long line of people doing that, and we should build many others, young people in particular, fighting. Keep fighting for justice. We'll never be perfect, but our goal is to keep fighting, keep pursuing justice.